Are you good at listening? Did you hear what I said? Are you good at listening? If you don't know if you're a good listener or not, maybe you should go and call your spouse if you're married, or maybe you should just send a message to your best friend and ask, am I a good listener? Your spouse and your best friend are probably going to give you an honest answer, but here's what I'm discovering. In a technology-filled world where a lot of people like to tweet and post things on social media, the art of listening is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's diminishing every day. And so today I wanted to remind you it is very important for us as we're following Jesus to learn how to be good listeners. It's not just a Jesus issue though, it goes all the way back to the time of Solomon, who was the wisest man who ever lived. And in the book of Proverbs, which he's given us to help us know how to live for God, he says in chapter 18 verse 13 these words, "The one who gives an answer before he listens, this is foolishness and disgrace for him." Now, since you might be one of those people who has trouble listening, let me read the verse again, and I want to encourage you to pay attention to the words that I'm reading. Proverbs 18 verse 13 says, "The one who gives an answer before he listens, this is foolishness and disgrace for him." I believe as a follower of Jesus, as a person who wants to honor God with our lives, we need to become good listeners. So how can you and I work on our skill of being good listeners? Let me give you a few tips today that might help you. Number one, listen more than you talk. If you'll just look in the mirror, you'll find that your anatomy would suggest that God intended for us to be good listeners because He gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people I know, and you probably do as well, who probably feel like they have 2 mouths and 1 ear, or maybe no ears, because they do a lot of talking but almost no listening. But let me encourage you to listen more than you speak. Number 2, let me encourage you to look into the person's face and to pay attention to what the person is saying when you're having a conversation. A lot of times when I'm having a conversation with someone, I find that they're looking at the ground, or they're looking off in the distance, or they're looking over here to the left, or they're looking off to the right, and they're not really looking at me when I'm having the conversation. So let me encourage you, as you become a better listener, to look into the person's face, maybe even pay attention to their eyes, and listen to what the person is saying. Number 3, I would encourage you to do this. Ask a lot of questions. When that person is talking to you, what you want to do is ask them more questions about things that you can tell as you're looking into their face that are interesting to them. You can see it in their eyes and you can see it in the expression of their face. If it's something they're interested in, they're going to light up a little bit more and their eyes are going to brighten up a little bit more, and that's your cue to ask some more questions. Number 4, and this is challenging, don't be trying to think about what you want to say next before you listen to what the person's saying to you in the present. Many of us get caught up in, I want to say this in the next sentence, rather than listening to what the person's trying to tell us. So let me encourage you to quit thinking about what you're going to say next and focus on what that person's saying in the present. Then 5, this is the final little suggestion I'll give to you so you can become a good listener. I want you to pay attention to the person more than the problem. A lot of times in our conversations, we're trying to resolve the world's issues. There's some tax problem up in Congress, or there's some issue with the supply chain, or there's some problem with something that's going on in town. And so we're focused on a conversation that is trying to resolve a problem, and we're really not getting to know the person that we're talking with. God wants us to build relationships with each other. He's created all of us in His image, and He sent Jesus to die for every single one of us on the cross. So people are important, and it's probably more important for us to focus on the person than it is for the problem. So as you're listening, if you'll focus on the person, when you walk away, I hope you'll know more about the person than you did about the problem that you were talking about. If we'll do those 5 things, I think we'll become better listeners. And as we become better listeners, God can use us in greater ways to advance His kingdom and to bring the gospel to bear on the lives of those who need it most. Don't forget Proverbs 18:13. The one who gives an answer before he listens, this is foolishness and a disgrace for him. I don't want you to be disgraced this week, so let's become good listeners. Have a great day.